So we got a pair of 36-inch cobia here. We got Mercer 7-inch straight blade, and it's kind of like filleting anything else, right? But I mean, you know, work around the edges maybe a little bit more than you would with a trout or a redfish. You know, start at the bottom, go up to the spine like that, and then you can come down the backside and do the same thing. Work right down to the spine. And there's people that stake them. I'm not really a huge fan. You know, we'll cut the fillets into steaks, but I really don't like to leave that spine bone in the middle of it. You know, they're pretty easy to fillet. Kind of maybe just like any other fish. You know, they don't have any, you know, difficult bone structure. You know, just start going up. You know, they do have heavy rib bones. You can go up over top of them. And then you can get it just like that. This fish was bled out, so you can see there's not a lot of blood on the table. But it's obviously a male, which a lot of these fish are. You know, this fish is about 36.5 inches. You're not gonna see a lot of females till, you know, you typically get around that 40-inch range. But I tend to like, you know, a straight edge knife like this versus a serrated edge knife. Kind of trying to work around everything on this fish. The most important part is to stay really close to kind of the structure of the fish, right? He's got a really big spine that comes up. If you can kind of work your way right down the edge, and you can see I left a little bit on this side. This other side's a little bit cleaner. Where you can see I worked right up to the edge, and then you go up over the spine, and then again trying to work right down that edge on the other side. They're an awesome eating fish. I prefer to eat them on the grill. You know, there's a lot of different ways to do it, and I'll show you in a second how we turn these fillets into steaks. So when you're looking at the fillet, of course, it's got the rib bones in it. The belly meat is actually really good, and they have a nice thick belly, and we're gonna try to save as much of that as we can. What I'll typically do is kind of go under. I'm cutting through those pin bones just because I'm trying to get underneath these ribs, right? And you see you kind of get underneath of them like that. You can kind of cut almost like maybe you would a salmon, but you can kind of shave that off, and then you cut that right off. Now we've got all that meat that was underneath there, and I'll normally do it in like thirds. So I'm gonna go through, and I'm gonna fillet it off. Just like that. And then to kind of make it a little easier, more portion size, I'll cut those pin bones and that red line out, just like that. You know, you may have to trim a little bit of red meat off, but I mean, honestly, they're really easy to take apart. You know, especially if you do it a couple times, you know, you'll pick it up pretty dang quick.